no, it's me again. I've been trying for 0 views on YouTube, and I haven't been able to achieve 0 views ever since I've started doing YouTube uploads. I've been doing it off and on for years, kind of out of boredom, kind of out of the sport, uh, and part of that of trying to keep my skill set up and all that stuff. But I know I've been getting between anywhere from 500 to 50,000 at one time early in the YouTube days, and then when it was easier to get more views, probably because there's millions of blues and everything. But what I'm noticing now is my short-term comment comedy videos are getting the most, and I think it's because like the people have an attention span of a fly now. It's like if it's like if it goes over 30, I think the people that I've watched that are getting like millions and billions of views on YouTube, I think their average duration time when they're questioned is like uh, uh, 30 some seconds or something like that, um, for on shorts and all that. But anyways, we're going to talk about missed opportunities or not paying attention to the environment. So, and then I can talk about good missed opportunities, like things that happened that were really bad that I survived, but basically, so I guess I was a successful day trader at one point in my life. So I would make like sometimes 40,000 a day consistently. So I never really lost, except for one time I bought into Qualcomm on a swing trade, and on a swing trade you have like there's a threshold, there's an area where the stock usually bounces in between weekly or every other day. And then I bought in at the low on the trade range, expecting it to go up. I went to the bathroom. I came back. I was $8,000 in debt, or not in debt, but in the hole. But I was in 40, so it's not like I was bankrupt. But so I just yanked my money out. Now, if I would have held Qualcomm till now, I'd be a multi-billionaire. But with that investment, but I didn't, because I needed the fast money so I could pull it out and go make 100,000 or 200,000 on another stock, by day trading that one. So I used to be in the money, and I think I quit because of nerves. Because when I bought in with my I was always buying in with 40K was my average buy-in, and I usually held for 1 to 2 days, and then I would double and triple my money. But that was back when the stock market was totally different, so we didn't have trade halts. I want to get back into trading again, but I would lose my tail. I have no idea what I'm doing because I've been doing it so long. So my strategy is I would study the stock. I would read it, everything about it, the news surrounding it, its value, the what it did, its patents, its ad, and so forth. I could go on and on and on, but I would research the stock. And so I'd go for IPOs a lot of times. Tech IPOs were doing really well back then. It was in the dot-com bubble bust, those years. I mean, there was so much money in the market, people were just throwing money into the market, like people's accounts. I like my next door neighbor. They were worth like $3 million, and then they blew up their account. They lost all of that. I mean, they were doing such big trades that they maybe they were addicted, like they didn't know when to stop. I guess you could consider stock gambling, which is interesting because like you're expected to work your whole life, and then the frosting on the cake in your end game when you're ready to retire is means that you have a 401k that has more value, or a IRA or whatever you have, your retirement account. You expect to have more money at the end of the tunnel to spend your last years on your hospital bills. No, on your vacation, hopefully, uh, on this planet before you leave. So, so I'm going to start off with some opportunities other than that. So I guess I missed that by like I got out. I quit trading, so maybe I should have kept doing it, but I got out. Um, I don't think I blew up my account or anything. I think I just wound up spending the money that I had. But no, that's what happened was I had I had a life. I had a type of cancer that they couldn't get rid of, and I was gonna die. And there was no. The doctor gave me the fatal news. You got six months to live because the chemotherapy didn't work. And so then I realized that it didn't matter how much money I had. I wasn't going to take it with me. The only thing that would happen is I would be up in heaven, or I would be in another world, and they would still be settling my estate taxes and my income taxes on my last trades and all that stuff. So I think that's mainly I got out is because of medical reasons and the prediction that my life would be cut short. Now, what happened was I came to Japan, saw another doctor, and he said, and that was luck. Like I wasn't supposed to see that doctor, so I went to 3 hospitals. I always get 3 medical opinions. I wasn't going to give up on myself. So I went to Japan, and one doctor said, they did the tests, they confirmed, and they said there's nothing we can do, and then went to another hospital, and then I got the same story, and then at the third hospital, the doctor I was supposed to see that day, coincidentally, she was sick, or she had a family issue or something like that. So I saw a substitute or a replacement doctor or whatever, or someone that would fill in for that day of a doctor that, this was luck that I saw this doctor anyways, long story short. And he said, I think I can cure you. I think I'm willing to try. The other doctors, I think they just said we can't cure that, and we're not going to bother. And he said, I'm willing to try. We have a new treatment out, and we're willing to try it on you. And it worked. So the protocol for the treatment was 7 months, but I did it for 11 months. And if to do 11 months of chemotherapy, I would say to these agencies that do torture on people, if you want to torture somebody, the worst torture you can ever do is put them on chemotherapy, because it's horrible. And a lot of people give up, unfortunately. A lot of people are in chemotherapy and they just can't hack it, and they'd rather pass away than deal with the torture, the pain, and the horrors of going through it. And it was it was pretty bad. Like I've never been suicidal. I mean, I've lived in areas that are really dark and depressing, and you have 8 months of overcast or 10 months of overcast a year, or it's raining half the year, just dark, gloomy areas where um, um, you'd expect everybody to be depressed, which they were, and then they would lie and they'd say, "Oh, the weather's not that bad," and you go out to the park and you would see that those people were lying because they didn't like the weather. They just didn't want to admit it. So, anyways, so I never had what I'm getting at is I never had depression, but my first 3 months of being on the medication, I was depressed, and I was suicidal, but I knew it, and I knew it was because of the medications. So I knew that change, that paradigm shift in my mind, my mentality was because of the drug. It wasn't because of me, because I'd never thought of ending myself ever. I mean, I've thought of ending other people plenty of times, but I never thought of ending myself, right? So that's a whole different story. But to, um, um, so I would stand back against the wall before a train would come. I was so afraid I was going to jump in front of a train that I would literally press my back against the wall. I'm my back against the wall right now against this $1 billion specially designed talk host, talk show, whatever. So I would have like I was in Japan, and Japan saved my life. So I'm grateful for Japan for saving my life. Um, but anyways, because this is where I got the treatment that saved my life. But anyways, I was suicidal for 3 months, and I would stay up against the wall before the train. I had to go to the hospital. It was a requirement. I had to get blood work done once a week because the type of chemo I was on, he said, I can't kill you, which means once your blood work gets bad enough that it's threatening to your life, where the medication is going to decease you, is going to kill you, I'm going to have to take you off the medication. I can't kill you. I'm legally obligated to, maximize the dose and maximize this and that and so forth. But I had to do enough of blood work where, like, if I reached certain parameters, they would pull me off the treatment. I would no longer be able to be on the treatment because that would mean I would die from the treatment, and they didn't. That's the idea. So, anyways, I had to leave, and also I'm a little bit paranoid to begin with, and there's some justification for that, but just extremely horribly paranoid too, and emotionally easy to get upset, and I was a nasty, nasty person to be around. So I thought, if I'm that way, I shouldn't be around people. So I avoided people for 11 months. I stayed on the protocol with 6 or 7 and whatever. But anyways, what gave me hope or faith was within 90 days I cleared. So there was no detectable amounts of cancer in my system at that point at 90 days. So that gave me hope, like, to endure the mental torture that I was going through on chemotherapy. And anybody that's gone through chemotherapy knows exactly what I'm talking about. It was just horrible. It was, yeah, I mean, physically, I felt like I had the flu every day, and I was sick, and I had crazy thoughts. And I just did I just thought, ignore everything up here. And it's the medication that's making this thing cuckoo. I mean, I'm not saying I'm totally sane. I don't think anybody on this planet is sane. Why would they live here? I would go to another planet. But anyway, so the treatment worked. So that's why I got out of trading, I guess, back at the beginning of the story. So um, I went way, 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 way off in another direction. So, and then I didn't get back into trading after that. I got a good paying job in Japan. I was a famous actor for about 8 years. I was famous. And then I became unfamous because I fell out of the loop and the money kind of came out of it in the States and Japan. So in the States, I'd shown my credentials and all that. What happened was I would have had no credentials at all in acting, like nothing on IMDb. Like if you look up MARPARTY, you will see my credentials on a Google search on IMDb. But I would have probably 300 or 400 credits, of television shows that I've been on that aired. But what happened was they weren't submitting them to IMDb. I wasn't getting credit for the shows I was on. Maybe that's because I was in Japan. And a friend of mine that's a famous actor that's back in the States right now, that used to be a famous actor here. Famous means like if you go on a train, they recognize you. Go in a government office, they recognize you. People recognize you. But here, even if you're famous, I don't know what level of fame it takes. If you're a foreigner, they kind of leave you alone. I think if you're a famous Japanese actor, they want to all get a selfie with you. So anyways, I used to be famous, and then I went down to not being famous. So, and then I had tons of opportunities to get famous way, way years ago before, when I was handsome and I had a full head of hair, but I explained that in another video. Anyway, so we're going to stick with opportunities and stay on the subject. Missed opportunities. So that was a good missed opportunity. I missed out the opportunity to die from cancer. So that was a good missed out on opportunity. Other ones, I'm doing a landscaping job. I'm in Medina, Washington, on Lake Washington. I'm working on this house. And we're working in the backyard, and we're building a waterfall. And they're super duper rich if they live in Medina, Washington. They're loaded to the gills. And so what happened was there was, in the backyard, it was flat grass, and then there was a rockery, and then there was the Lake Washington, and then they're in Medina. And so Medina is like, you don't live there unless you're into the money. I mean, you had to be really, really rich. And to be on the water in Medina, you had to really, really be rich. But so anyways, we're doing this backyard. It's flat grass, like putting green practically, right? And then there's this one square building, I think it was yellow or whatever, in the middle of it, and there was no road to it. And I thought that was strange. So I asked my boss, because normally you would see, like if you see in a garage in a backyard, there would be a road to it for the vehicle or whatever you're going to put in there. And so I thought it was odd that there was this thing that looked like a garage in the backyard and there's no road to it. And so I asked my boss, I go, what is that? And he says, oh, this guy does some type of computers, some type of computer work and this and that. And then the same boss that I was working for, a year he sells his business. A year later he sells his business and moves to Eastern Oregon and moves on a reservation or something like that. I don't know. Turns out that was Bill Gates's, one of his early houses was Bill Gates. So I had an opportunity. I don't know if I met him or not. Maybe I might have met him, just he might have seen me working in his yard or brushing passes, but we weren't formally introduced, I don't think. And so I had a chance, if I would have explored a little more, I could have bought into Microsoft early. I'm going to stay on Microsoft for a while here, a little bit, because there's another opportunity. There was this gal I knew, and she was just a regular secretary. She made like, I don't know, $22, $23 an hour. And I'm jumping all over, but she was a regular secretary. But they had a thing where you could, if if you match, like if you use part of your paycheck into the stock of the company, they'll match it. So she opted for that on her IRA. It was to have some of the money placed of her earnings dumped into the of her stock options, or whatever her stock, Microsoft stock. She optioned for that option where the company matches the shares that you buy to put in out of your paycheck. So she did that for years, and she was just a regular $22 an hour secretary. She became, by 30, she was worth about $3 million. That's a true story from just being a regular secretary. Now, ironically, I knew her. I mean, how would I know about that, right? So I knew her. And she knew that I was into filmmaking and producing television shows and all that stuff. And she said, I can get you a job filming. Bill Gates would go around and do different presentations at different campuses and all different types of different places. And I guess he had like a regular camera crew, or there's a regular camera crew, as far as I know. As far as I know, I am speaking the truth. And so I would have had an opportunity to interact with Bill on a regular basis. And I would have been filming him doing different presentations and different this and that as a camera operator, maybe editing video and sound too later. I don't know what the full job entailed, but she said, I can get you that job, or I can get you the access to apply for that job. I think she could have got me that job, but I passed on it because I was a high paid engineer. On my layoff time, I would either work, like I was doing a landscaping job like that, where I worked on the property in Medina, or I would just go on vacation somewhere, because I was a mechanical engineer at that point. And that's a whole different story, that occupation. But so anyway, so that was one of the years where I opted not to, when I had my vacation time, I decided to just work through it. And so that's how I ended up on that job at the time. And then so getting out of the market, like I'd recommend anybody, me being an older person, um, the paradigm shift is when I was younger, you were taught to listen to older people, like they knew more, they had more experience on the planet than you. And so we'll sponge off of them for information and save yourself the trouble, like learn from somebody else's mistakes if you can. So that's what I'm doing here for you, is if I could reverse the clock, I would have stayed in investing the whole time, and then I'd be set right now. I would be one company, I would be 250 million, and the other company I would be about 190 million. So the 250 million is if I would have bought Microsoft stock at that time. And then the 190 million is another coincidence, that I would be worth now if my friend, I used to drive fast muscle cars, built V8s, blum 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 blum, built and blueprinted and all that stuff. I won't go into detail. That's another story, the car one. But um, uh, basically invest. Put as much as you can when you're investing. Diversify your investments and get into investing when you're young. And if you do happen to live to be older, which is no guarantee, why I got out of day trading. Um, 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 this other opportunity was this person I knew worked directly under Jeff Bezos for Amazon. Now, this was in the dot-com bubble bust. Now, I was a trader at that point, so I was into trading, but I, um, he said I can get you in pre-public, so I could have got pre-IPO. I could have bought Amazon pre-IPO, and then Amazon went up and down and up and down and up and down. And I think I haven't looked at a chart recently. You can look at a long-term chart, and I think they might have gone below their IPO price. I'm not sure at one point because some companies do go below their IPO price. Like I'm in one now that went below its IPO price, and it is what it is. I mean, like I said, don't put all your eggs in one basket. So, so he said I can get you pre IPO Amazon. It's going to be this huge thing. You know, it's going to be a huge company. He worked directly under Bezos as a programmer. He was a professional computer programmer, so he worked in that department. And he said, "Man, I would just sell your Trans Am right now. I'd sell your hot rod, and I would dump your money in the Amazon stock. I would put all your eggs in the Amazon basket, or I would put most of your eggs in the Amazon basket." I always think of Easter when I hear that. I see different colored Easter eggs. But anyway, so yeah, now you think I'm crazy as a cuckoo clock, which I am. But anyway, so uh, if and then I saw Amazon dip really low, and I'm like, oh, that's good. I didn't buy the IPO, but he almost went bankrupt a few times, from what I understand, and he had to borrow money to keep going. But eventually, I would be set. I would be worth 190 million if I would have done that right now. And I probably wouldn't be making this video either. And if I did, there would be nice white sandy beach or sandy beach behind me. And it would be sunny, and I would have an umbrella ahead of me, above me, and I would be sipping a tropical drink looking at the ocean. So if I would have followed that advice, so I would say missed opportunities have been financial, and I've gotten tips along the way and all that stuff to people in the know. I had some other friends that were into stocks too, that did just strictly investing as a hobby, not as their day job, but as a hobby. And then they taught me about stocks, so I learned a lot about stocks from people that studied stocks and were invested in stocks and all that stuff. And realistically, you can watch YouTube videos until you're blue in the face. So even if you have a specialized trade, I'm not going to bring their names into it, but there's like 2 or 3 famous movie stars that they had to go back to work again because they mismanaged their money. I mean, they were spending their money foolishly. So I'm going to stop there on that.